How to avoid getting bogged down planning and strategizing instead of taking action and getting a result. It's easy to get bogged down planning for the best way to make profits, the best way to streamline our business, the best way to build our team, but yet that is all just doing one thing. That's motion. That's taking action. That is moving us forward. It feels like it's moving us forward, but it's just motion. And it's the difference between motion and taking action. And we often get into motion and feel like we are taking action, but in reality, we are just preparing. So we are doing things that make us feel like we're moving closer to our goals and closer to getting things done. But meanwhile, all that we're doing is getting into motion. We're just doing preparation in order to get moving towards what we want. But we can procrastinate pretty easily on strategizing and planning, thinking about the big things we're going to do and talking about it and planning it and mind mapping it. But if we're not taking action and getting into motion, doing something, then we are not changing our behavior. And that's the critical factor here. If we are just thinking about what we can do to build things better or what the end results will look like, that's great. That's getting your mind prepared for what you want, but it's not getting yourself into action. And James Clear in his book Atomic Habits talks about this, and the difference is between motion and taking action. And when you're in motion, all you're doing is doing certain things that are going to feel good and move you in the direction of what you want, but they actually aren't going to produce results. They're not physical things that you're doing, taking action, and then you can see tangible results from it. So we often think about the big things that we're going to do, and we get into motion, and then we procrastinate and we don't take the action. And what happens is we end up feeling bad. And the critical factor here is that we don't want to fail. We're trying to avoid failure. We don't want to be criticized. So we want to take motion, get into action and take some actions that are going to feel good, that get us into motion, but they are not going to get us to the end result that we want. So we feel good, and we're trying to avoid criticism. We're trying to avoid getting caught into that victim loop. Well, we are in a victim loop. We're in this denying, avoiding type mentality, and we are afraid of what the consequences are of our actions. So we don't get into action. Instead, we just take these little bits of motion, and that feels good, and then we just sit and wait and hope and wonder whether things are going to get better or not. So the key here is that if you're going to get results in your life, you have to take motion, yes, but then you have to move to action. You can't just stay in motion and not get into action. You have to do something that's going to produce a real tangible result, and that's going to move you forward. Otherwise, you get caught in the victim loop. You want to be in the intention loop. You want to be where you are taking responsibility, you are taking action, you're moving forward, you are looking to the future, but doing something that is going to produce a real tangible result that you can feel and touch, because you want to be measuring backwards. As I learned from Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy, you want to be always measuring backwards. A-M-B. Always measuring backwards. Why? Because when you measure backwards, you can see where you came from. But you can't do that if you're just into motion, because you can't measure motion. If I do a beautiful process map or mind map of what you want in your life and your business, but we don't get into action and measure our performance, well, guess what? Nothing happens. So we can't measure backwards. So in order to measure backwards, you have to take action. You can't just be you can't just be doing things that are moving you forward, that feel good, that are just motion. Because motion is going to lead you nowhere. It's going to stop at some point in time. It's going to end. It doesn't have energy. It doesn't have any type of motivation or intention behind it. It's just a plan, a strategy. That's all it is. Planning a strategy is critical, yes, but then getting into action is critical. It is the most critical thing. You need to be getting into action so you can measure backwards and then move forward. I mean, it's great to strategize how you're going to grow your team, to develop standard operating procedures. I mean, if you're an agency owner, which is the audience that I talk with and that I serve, if you are growing your business, what are you doing that's measurable? What are your tactics? What are the things you're controlling? What can you put in a 12-week plan, a sprint, and then measure backwards and look how far you've come from week to week, day to day, month to month? Because if you don't do that, take actions and look at the results, then you're not going to get into motion and you won't feel good. Or you will just be getting into motion and not actually getting results. There's a client of mine, Alice. She is amazing at getting into action. She had a business that was doing 30 to 40,000 MRR per month. And so monthly recurring revenue. And she was doing phenomenal. She had enough money to do whatever she wanted to do practically, yet she wanted more. And the critical thing was she wasn't strategizing and taking action. She was just taking a lot of action. And the action was producing income, but it wasn't giving her what she needed. So she kept taking action, but she didn't have the planning and strategizing part of it. So all that I had to do was come in, do the planning and strategizing. We developed standard operating procedures and a code of honor for her team and all sorts of pieces that helped her business to grow so that she could move forward. And then she took action on it, implemented it, and then her team grew and her time she got back. She got back lots and lots of time. She went from working 12-hour days to 12-hour weeks and bored. This is a dream for a lot of agency owners. And so she was able to do that. Why? Because she's a great action taker, but she wasn't great at getting the strategizing and planning done and then taking action on that. She was just great at taking action, which is hustling. Hustling is not effective over time because hustling is taking action. But if there's no strategy or plan, then you don't know what you're aiming for. You're just hustling. And it might produce income and clients and all sorts of things. But, more clients is great. But you know what? It causes you to go into management mode when you have more clients. Why? Because then you have to maintain them. You have to deal with them. You have to maintain your team. You have to make sure the projects are done and fulfilled to your standards. So if you don't have standards, which is critical, then what are you aiming for? You're just taking a lot of action without any standards. So if you have standards and then you're taking action, you can measure against those standards. And as those standards get better and your team improves, then you can see how that grows. So once again, the key here is don't get caught in taking or getting into motion, just planning and strategizing and writing and thinking and not actually taking any action. If you're going to do something in your business, you want to be measuring opportunities, conversations, sales, and profits. Those are the 4 things that you want to measure. Opportunities, conversations, sales, and profits. Those are the things you need to measure on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and quarterly basis. And you keep measuring those and you keep looking for those opportunities, then you're going to fill that gap. You're going to fill those spaces. And if you want, just have a document on your computer or sheets that you track this, opportunities, conversations, sales, and profits, and keep filling them in. Fill the names in, fill the opportunities in that are coming through, and you'll see how your business will build and grow. That's a strategy and a plan tactic, but if you get into action and do it, and then you physically go out to the world and provide value and results and put out offers, then you're going to see the opportunities coming back to you, and you'll fill in the opportunities, conversations, sales, and profits documents, and you'll see how that grows. So again, you want to measure backwards. That's a way of measuring backwards. But you're not just taking motion. You're not getting into motion. You're actually taking action, and you're getting things done and measuring performance. And you are going to avoid getting caught in that vortex of criticism, being criticized and feeling like you're going to fail. Because if you feel like you're going to fail and you're afraid of failure, then you'll just do the motion. And guess what? You can hide behind that. You can say, hey, look, I've been planning and strategizing and I've been doing all this work. And, that doesn't produce results. That doesn't make sales or have get you happy clients. It doesn't produce the kind of things that you need in your business to grow. You're not scaling. You are potentially growing, maybe financially, but you're also losing time. And you do not want to turn your back on time. Don't make the mistake of turning back on time. Give your attention only to things that matter. And you do this by planning, strategizing, that's the motion aspect of it, and then taking action. And using a 12-week plan like I do with my clients, you have a 12-week plan, tactics, you can measure your performance and taking action, and then measure backwards. Always be measuring backwards and looking for the opportunities that you can take advantage of, so you can fill out the opportunities, conversations, sales, and profits, and keep building and growing your business. And as you do that and grow your team and delegate things and eliminate things in your business, because growth, the only way that you grow is by removing things. So growth by subtraction. You have to subtract things from your business. You have to take things out so that you can grow, especially if you're already in the $30,000 to $50,000 monthly recurring revenue. If you're in that range, then you need to do some things differently. If you're not, then you're going to stay in the cycle of hustling and generating income and providing for your team, providing for clients. It's not going to be effective. You need to set up systems and processes so that you can do that. That's the action that you take, and that's what I specialize in. I really do that well. I've done it for big companies that I built their portfolios $25 million pretty easily. It just takes a little bit of strategy and planning, taking action, setting up systems and processes, and then boom, that's it. Money comes flowing in, and you'll have to figure out where to put it. So once again, you don't want to get caught in just taking actions that are creating motion. You want to create actions that are going to produce results that you can measure backwards and you can see your performance. Don't get caught into this vicious cycle, because once you do, it's pretty tough to get out. Then you're hustling and your team is leaning on you and clients are relying on you, and you keep trying to grow your business and trying to scale it, but you don't have the time because you're giving your attention to the wrong things. Make sense? All right. So again, let me know if this makes sense and you are doing a lot of planning and strategizing, and if you need to get into action and get your tactics done, then those are the critical factors. Take this idea, put it into action in your business, and watch it grow. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Bye.